Do you think that there is enough disinflation to warrant a cut in June? I mean, the market now is pricing for it to happen in August.
Happy Friday, Emily. Absolutely. I think the answer to that question is unequivocally yes. And if you look at yesterday's decision, what you saw were multiple votes for a rate cut. I know 7-2 doesn't look like a blockbuster vote, but you've got the Deputy Governor Dave Ramsden breaking rank, joining the chorus of dissenters, dovish dissenters. That in and of itself, to me, signals growing uneasiness with where bank rate is, how restrictive policy is as inflation comes back down and real rates in the UK starts to pick back up. Now, we will get 2 more inflation reports, as the governor pointed out in the press conference. It's something that he highlighted in the minutes of the MPC, which was new information. So clearly, these 2 reports, 2 inflation reports, 2 labor market reports that we get between now and the June meeting will certainly tell the tale on whether we get that June rate cut. We think there's enough disinflation process taking place. There's encouraging news around inflation, particularly on the headline front. We should see services inflation take a big step down from about 6 to 5.4 in the April data. The Bank of England expects it to get down to 5.5. But regardless, that progress is in place. We're optimistic we'll get inflation back down. And this is the time I think we can start thinking about dialing down restrictive policy.
What about when you compare it with other central banks like the Fed or the ECB? I know it's not a race and it's not necessarily coordinated, but the ECB has already signaled a cut. The Fed, we don't really know when it's going to happen. Do you think that the BOE will front run the FOMC?
Well, it certainly looks like it, Emily. And I'll be clear with this because actually the UK economy is on a very different track to where the US is. I mean, no matter how you slice and dice US inflation, it's firming. So it's a very different position to where the UK inflation is. We're seeing probably the most convincing disinflation story here in the UK. Headline inflation will get back down to just around target in 2 weeks' time, well below where the US is, well below where the euro area is. We're seeing pay settlements, labor market cooling, unlike what we're seeing in the US. Very different dynamics, the US running at potential growth, the UK coming out of a technical recession. We think that data will be confirmed in just over an hour by the Office of National Statistics here in the UK. But nevertheless, 2 economies, 2 different tracks, the UK economy coming out with a lot of spare capacity, with a negative output gap. So in our minds, in the Bank of England's minds, it's a very different projection, very different state of the economy that we're going into, that we're coming out of. And this, I think, will give the bank enough confidence to diverge from the Fed in at least the June meeting.